Oh, good, you're here. Come on. This is the centre of performance. Whenever there's a top performance in New Zealand, it all comes from here. That's Lisa Carrington. She's been doing that for days. That's the boy who got the hole-in-one in Tokyo. Oh, he did it again. Hey, Finn, how's the performance going?
Top tier.
Nice. This is our Generate room. In here, you'll find our top performers helping Kiwis maximise their KiwiSaver investments. Get in here, Finn. Maximise.
Right,
Generate. Putting performance first.
Mark Rocket, welcome to my podcast.
Great to be here, Dom.
So your wife and kids, what's their surname on the passports and birth certificates?
Yeah, I've got a couple of little rockets, and and my wife is just going through the process of changing her name at the moment. So,
Right.
Yeah.
What was the reaction like at the time? Did people think you were odd?
Yeah. Well, I guess going back to those days, the internet days. I started in the internet industry in 1994. And then started playing around with SEO, search engine optimization, 97, started up a company in 1998, actually a couple of companies, and just got into the whole kind of online marketing kind of thing. And realized, words are just so compelling, so provocative. And just sort of started out as a crazy idea, thinking, what if I changed my name to Mark Rocket, and what that would end up being, and what that would affect in my life. And it just was one of those ideas that I couldn't let go, and I decided just to jump in and do it.
Were you the subject of sort of any ridicule or anything at the time, or?
Well, probably, but
You don't give a fuck?
Yeah, pretty much.
What about your family, like your parents?
Yeah, it was sort of a delicate thing. I didn't really tell them straight out for a little while.
Now, and the reason you chose Rocket is?
Yeah, I mean, ever since I've been a young kid, I've been fascinated by space technology, advanced aviation, or just general aviation. It's been a theme of my life. I never quite made it to university, but I've been an avid student of science fiction and a lot of that kind of aviation technology. I think it's just one of those areas that really compels me, gets me excited, and has sort of manifested its way into all sorts of things.
Well, it's an absolute honour to have you on the podcast. It's great to finally connect with you. We've been going backwards and forwards for months now in an attempt to make this happen because, from what I know about you, you're an intriguing guy. So it's wonderful to have you here today.
Great to be here, Dom.
And since we started having the conversations going backwards and forwards, you have become the first New Zealander into space.
Yeah, back May 31st in the US and in Texas, I signed up and got a flight with Blue Origin on a New Shepard suborbital flight. And that was just phenomenal. It really exceeded all of my expectations. I knew it was going to be awesome, but it was just so much more. Only a 10-minute short flight, but wow, it was just the most epic, intense 10 minutes of my life.
So Blue Origin, that's the Jeff Bezos one?
Correct.
Yeah. And so originally... Yeah, so you changed your name to Mark Rocket, and then this is a goal you had around about that time to go into space.
Yeah, well, I guess if we go back a little bit, as part of my journey, I've really had a process of self-improvement where I really wanted to keep, finding ways of incrementally improving myself. And I did a course in 2000, the Entrepreneur's Success Program. And it was great. It was a multi-year kind of course. There's a great group of other entrepreneurs, and we'd get together every few months. And there was a sort of program, and there was a sort of social aspect of it. And yeah, one of those sessions in 2000 was kind of an exercise where you're on your deathbed, and you kind of visualize, what you wanted to have achieved in your life. And sort of going through that sort of process, I realized, I really wanted to go to space. And, that was something I really wanted to tick off the checklist. And so, I actually signed up initially around 2006 with Virgin Galactic. And that was an awesome process and got a whole lot of really great experiences out of that. In the end, I ended up going with Blue Origin.
I know there's there's NDAs involved and there's commercially sensitive information. But when you sign up for the Virgin one, what's the deposit? Is that huge?
Well, back then it was 200,000 US.
Oh my God! You can't say how much. That was the deposit. So is it like $1 million?
No. That was the full amount.
Oh, that was the whole amount.
You basically pay the full amount.
Okay. So and then you end up on selling that. That one didn't go ahead, the Virgin one.
Yeah, I cashed that one in. They did it. They started a few commercial flights, and then they're now redeveloping the spacecraft, and I am on the list. I think I got to seat number 37, 38, but I think it's going to be a year or two before they get the next iteration of their spacecraft. I wish them all the best. Amazing company, and some of those experiences that I was part of with that Virgin Galactic Founders Group were incredible and really inspired me to get involved with the aerospace industry here in New Zealand.
Did you have much to do with Sir Richard Branson?
Yeah, I met him a number of times, and spent a week on his island, Necker Island, the British Virgin Islands. That was pretty cool, getting to see how he lives. I think he visited Christchurch and Auckland. Called up a few times around the place at various events. He was a phenomenal entrepreneur and still is, but I think COVID probably knocked him a little bit. I think he said publicly he had like an investment portfolio from hell for COVID, with all the tourism operations, right? I'm not quite sure what the latest state of play is, but he's a resilient guy and just has made a marvellous contribution to being such an iconic entrepreneur.
What about Jeff Bezos? So you end up going up in Blue Origin, which is the Bezos spacecraft. You meet him? Have much to do with him?
No, I haven't met Jeff yet. Hopefully one day. Yeah, he's obviously doing some great stuff, and what is happening there with Blue Origin. I think he puts about $2 billion a year or so into that Blue Origin project, and that's just kind of the kind of poker money that might be normal for for some of us. But basically, he's made such a great contribution there to the aerospace industry. Blue Origin are just really starting to build that flywheel momentum, and what they've achieved with Blue Origin New Shepard. I think it's just the beginning. They're going to the New Glenn, which is an orbital project, and then Blue Moon, lunar project, and other cool projects. So I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from Blue Origin.
Yeah. So legally you've been to space, but it was an 11-minute flight. Does it feel like it's scratched the itch?
I'd really like to go again.
Really? You're not a one and done? Or would you want to go further or longer? Or?
Yeah, I mean, orbital would be great, but they're pretty pricey. But certainly, that suborbital flight was just so phenomenal. I think about it every day. Your former business partner and mate, Sir Peter Beck from RocketLab, and we'll get into your involvement with RocketLab later on, but I've had him on the podcast. You're the complete opposite of each other, right? Like he's obsessed with rockets, but has no desire to go into space, doesn't want to go anywhere near it, knows the risk involved, doesn't want to leave Earth. But you on the other hand, it's like you really want to be there. Yeah, I mean, I think a couple of days before I went on the flight, Peter sent me an email and said, you're in the right hands there with the Blue Origin team. So, I think he's definitely got a different life philosophy to me. And to be honest, I'm surprised more New Zealanders haven't wanted to get involved with these sort of space flights yet. Sure, the ticket price is a little bit high, but I think there's going to be thousands of Kiwis that do go up into space in the next decade.
So the Blue Origin one, it's over 1 million, less than 1 million?
Yeah, I signed an NDA for that one.
You just can't. Wow. But it was whatever you paid, you consider it good value for money.
Amazing.
Was that the same one that Oprah Winfrey's friend Gail and Katy Perry and those guys did?
Yeah, I was on the flight after them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Same day or no?
No. It was about a month later.
Yeah. So talk us through it. So what sort of training is involved for this?
Yeah. So you arrive there in sort of West Texas. It's kind of like the Cars movie, like Radiator Springs. It kind of looks just like that. It's just a crazy environment. So you arrive there, meet your other crew, and you stay in Airstream kind of trailers in this sort of desert place, and they've got a really great facility. Then the first day of training, you go along to the spaceport, and there's a special training facility building where you kind of learn about how to get in and out of the capsule, and what to do when you're in the capsule, and sort of going through the whole process, making sure you feel comfortable with what's happening on the flight day. The second day is more about orthonominal situations where if something goes wrong, you've got to put on a breathing mask and how to get out quickly, that kind of thing. I was seat 6, so I was the first one on and the last one off, so it kind of meant I'd be pushing people out the door to get out there.
Were you scared?
Well, I mean, on the actual flight day, I mean, it started off as a kind of a pretty smooth elevator ride, pretty cool, but then it just gets faster and faster, to the point where we're doing 3,400 kilometres per hour. And at that point, the adrenaline is really kicking in. And then there's a really swift transition when you get stage separation where the booster drops off the capsule. And essentially you move into a zero gravity environment really quickly within a few seconds. So sort of that transition from that full-on adrenaline when you're on the edge of your seat going, oh my God, what am I doing here, to basically experiencing zero gravity and looking at the magnificent views out the window. So yeah, there was certainly a few moments of what the heck, but then you move into that kind of situation.
So there's you and 5 other people?
Yes.
Yeah, and is it spacious? Is it like the size of this room, or?
Yeah, roughly
right.
sort of similar.
So when it's zero gravity, you're not like just like limbs everywhere bumping.
Yeah, I mean it's the thing about the Blue Origin capsule is that they've made it with huge windows and trying to make it as spacious as possible. In the middle there is a big sort of round circle, just like you have here with your table, bit smaller, and that's where basically you've got a rocket motor sitting there. So if something happens with the booster, that rocket motor can take you off the booster. So that sort of takes up a bit of the cabin, but you've got huge windows and there's a bit of room to move around.
Mm. So 6 people on board, and you guys are all early adopters, so I'm guessing these are like hardcore sort of space fans or people that really wanted this opportunity. What did you know about about your, what are they called, like your crew? What did you know about your crew or your teammates? What are they called?
Yeah,
fellow
crew.
Passengers?
Yeah, crew is
Yep.
as good as any. And yeah, we met a few times before, got to know each other a little bit. And yeah, there's a range of people. There was one guy had been to every country in the world, and he wanted to kind of tick off going to space as well. There was a teacher from Puerto Rico, a Canadian guy, an internet guy. Just a range of people that obviously had a absolute fascination for space like me.
A teacher from Puerto Rico. New Zealand teachers listening to this are going to be like, oh, I need to get a job as teaching in Puerto Rico.
Well, she actually got a sponsorship from a pharmaceutical company. So she really did well there.
Mm. What about your family? Were they nervous?
Yeah, my wife was there. There's a few photos of her looking quite nervous.
Mm. She didn't try and talk you out of it?
No.
She just knew it's something that you had to do.
Yeah.
What about the risk? Like, what if something went drastically wrong? I know it's going in an opposite direction, but I'm thinking about that Titanic sub from a couple of years ago. Like, what if the unthinkable happened?
Yeah. Well, I think you've got to look at what you really want to do. I mean, for me, I wouldn't be that interested going to the bottom of the ocean in a composite material sub, and I do know a little bit about composites, and that's not something I would ever entertain. I think like anything, you've got to weigh up the risks, and you can go on a camping holiday to across the North Island, and you have a bad day. It's life is full of risk. You got to choose the risks that you're happy to take, and conversely, if you do die. For me, what's a better way to die than to blow up in a rocket?
It's like you read it all the time. How he died doing what he loved.
Exactly.
So going at 3,400 kilometres an hour, what's that like?
I mean, it was intense. Yeah, I mean,
like scary.
Yeah, scary. Yeah.
Were you prepared for that?
Well, yeah, I knew we were going to go pretty fast, but yeah, the sensation of it, and you can sort of feel the rocket adjusting. And, basically it's an autonomous system, a robotic system. So, you're really hoping that the robot's having a good day. It kind of, it just put me out of my comfort zone a little bit. but not to the point that I wouldn't do it again. But it just, made me kind of feel alive.
And was it a moving experience? Like, were you emotional up there? Did you cry? I mean, I'm just thinking not just of the flight itself, which is relatively short, but just the quarter of a century of build up to get to that moment.
Yeah, well, not so much about that. I mean, it did feel like a personal achievement. It's something I felt really really pleased. But I guess the main emotional element really was seeing the Earth from space and seeing space. And you see a photo of space, you see the blackness of space, but to actually be outside the Earth's atmosphere and to see the context. And I don't know about you, Dom, but maybe you sit back looking up at the stars and you think about what it is to travel through the solar system or through the galaxy. But in the solar system, here we are. I think it's 150 million kilometres the Earth is away from the sun. The sun has got 99.86 of the mass of the solar system. It's obviously a huge bit of mass, and a big blob of mass in the middle of our solar system, and it basically pulls all the planets around it, and just to, it's kind of a crazy concept when you think about it. But to actually see the Earth and the sun and space, this vast ocean of blackness of space, it kind of you really see the sort of context of this fragile planet. And just that blackness was kind of like a little bit overwhelming, and there's some of the other passengers that felt that as well. And we were only up in that environment for a few minutes, but you see other astronauts that come back after spending weeks or months orbiting the Earth, and they have something called the overview effect, where they really do start thinking a lot more about that sort of stark fragility of the Earth.
If it was an option in your lifetime, would you want to travel to another planet?
Yeah, well, there's probably not that many to choose from that are going to be that comfortable anytime soon. Mars could be kind of interesting, but even going and living in the Antarctic, I've had friends that go down there and do the summer trips, and actually got a friend there at the moment doing the winter trip. That's pretty full on. Where Mars is going to be 10x harder than that. It's going to be pretty cold. It's not, it's going to be a pretty severe environment. And I think I'd miss my running and my tennis too much, Dom. And it's it's 9 months or whatever to get there, 9 months to get back. It's kind of a major thing. When I was younger, I think I would have been all in, but where I am now, probably not so much.
You and I, you mentioned the running. You and I, we're both in our 50s. We're both dealing with issues in our left knees at the moment. I believe like training in zero gravity, it's good for the joints.
I think so. Yeah.
So the 11-minute flight. So at the peak, how high, how far away from Earth are you?
105 kilometres.
Right. Shit, that's a long way up, isn't it? And it took you how long to get there? Just a few minutes?
Yeah.
So what can you see?
Yeah, well, essentially, you're above the clouds, above the weather. You can see that blackness of space, the Earth, about 1,000 kilometres to the horizon. And yeah, there's the sun out radiating out there, and I mean, it's hard to describe. It's kind of like a sensory overload type situation. Going through that rocket-powered flight. You got the stage separated, the engine shut off, the stage separation, and then you're very quickly into that zero gravity environment. Doing flips and moving around. I had a placard with New Zealand on it and doing a few things like that. And then basically you got to get ready for the descent, and that's pretty full on as well. You actually go 3,700 kilometres an hour going on the way down. And yeah, basically you just wait. The friction from the atmosphere as it gets thicker just needs to kind of slow you down from 3,700. And it slowed the capsule down to about 600 kilometres per hour, and then you're kind of waiting for the little drogue chute to deploy, and then the main chute to deploy, and then you have that landing. So yeah, all in all, there's a heck of a lot going on in that 10 minutes.
What's the landing like? Is it quite a heavy thud?
No, it's not too bad. I mean, they actually have some sort of retro thrusters at the bottom, so there's a big cloud of dust that comes up, but it actually softens that landing pretty nicely.
I've seen photos and some video online of you like entering and exiting the capsule. Did you feel like a hero? You know what I mean?
Well, the way the US do things is quite different to the way we Kiwis do things here. So, during the few days before, we had like a fashion photographer following us around, and I think obviously a lot of the staff they were quite happy to see customers using the thing that they built, so they cheer you on, and you've obviously got the family people there cheering you on. So, you kind of feel like you're the centre of attention there for a little while. America kind of does it to that hype, to that kind of next level that we don't really do here in New Zealand. So it was kind of interesting.
So you're now you're the only New Zealander that's been into space. So you can confirm now that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, very flat. Yeah.
Yeah. How much of the curvature of the Earth can you see when you're up that high?
Yeah, well, it's about 1,000 kilometres to the horizon, so you can just sort of see that faint curve. But there could have been a giant tortoise sticking out the end. I don't know. I might have seen something holding it all up.
What advice would you give to a young Kiwi who has like a massive, massive dream that potentially, seems laughable, that people laugh at?
Yeah,
so I feel like that's what you've done here. Like this has been like half your life that you've had this dream, and it would have been almost unimaginable when you had the dream, and it has come true for you.
Yeah, I mean, for my journey, I came from pretty humble beginnings, and there's a lot of things that I had to kind of overcome. Keep improving myself and getting to the point where I developed the skills that I needed to do what I needed to do. And I think just really committing to that incremental improvement has been a key thing for me. But also balance. Making sure you have balance in your life. For me, that's really important. You see people like Elon Musk going full charge in a business area or political area, or whatever it is that they're doing. For me, I think you've really got to have that balance where you got to look at your health, you got to look at your relationships and your business, and to me, that makes a lot more sense. Living a fulfilled, balanced life. So that's something looked at. But as far as young kids, I do hope that a lot of young Kiwis start thinking more about the aerospace industry. That's certainly something that is quite exciting for New Zealand's future. RocketLab has really led the charge, but there's a whole bunch of aerospace companies doing fantastic things in New Zealand. Down here we're a great place to be a test bed for all these new advanced aviation and space technologies. We've sort of got this creative way of getting things done pretty cost effectively down here. So I'm hoping that we're going to be attracting a whole lot of international projects and start more national projects to get people involved in the aerospace industry. So I know there's a lot of kids that love science fiction, and that could be, let's say that's 10-20% of kids. Hopefully a lot of those kids will have an aerospace industry that they can work in the future. But as far as just anyone wanting to chase their dreams, sometimes it can be hard. But I think if you really want to do it, just progressively work towards it, and look at what skills you need to do, what places you need to put yourself in to create that opportunity.
Yeah, because I feel like you're a guy that thought impossibly big, and you've done it.
Yeah, I'd say conversely, I think a lot of people don't think big enough.
Yeah. A
lot of people put sort of false restrictions on themselves, and maybe I'm just stupid enough to think but beyond the realms of what I mean. The reality is, you look at RocketLab, what happened there shouldn't actually be technically possible. If you look at the 10 other spacefaring nations around the world, all of those other countries had massive expenditure into building missiles or building rockets, developing a space program. New Zealand, when we started commercial operations of RocketLab in 2007, there was no government expenditure into those areas. So really, what Peter Beck and the team have done there, has been a bit of an outlier compared to the rest of the world. But it just goes to show, if you really drive towards it, and you've got to have a few things line up in your favour as well. But it is possible.
Yes, just picking up on something you said before, which I found quite inspiring. You talked about the balance in all aspects of your life. Yeah, sort of dividing your time and making sure everything's good, your health's good, your family's good.
Yeah.
When I had your old business partner, Sir Peter Beck, on the podcast, he had a quote that stuck with me. It was something like, nothing great or nothing grand is ever achieved on a 9 to 5 timetable. Just sort of like reflecting on like the work and the hours he's had to put in. How can you do it your way and have it all?
Yeah, I think different people have different modes. What works for him, what works for Elon is probably not in the realms of what works for everyone. I think you can have tremendous success in different ways. And I think a lot of people, they want to kind of template what they see working. But if you do template off someone that is a completely different personality type, emotional type or whatever to you, then you're never going to be able to do that. For me, I've found I've been able to achieve my goals in a different way. And I think, having that balance. And I think it's kind of like running a marathon. If you actually want to do a short burst. I mean, when I was in the internet days, I would be working until 10 o'clock at night, midnight, 2 a.m.
Startup mentality.
Yeah, I had that. When I was in my sort of 30s, I was doing a lot of that, but I realised it just wasn't sustainable. And you're kind of running a marathon. You're not running a sprint. If you look at a lot of those successful entrepreneurs, a lot of them do have health issues, or maybe they don't have their relationships with their family or whatever in as good a shape. I think it's a matter of trying to find what works for you and sort of trying to take that approach. But yeah, you do need to put a lot of effort into starting up a business. There's no two ways about it. But maybe a lot of that stuff is dead wood. What is it that you really need to do, and trying to prioritise the key things that are going to move your business or organisation forward, I think is a lot more effective than just putting in stupid hours.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting takeaway. Political persuasions aside, I've had the Prime Minister Chris Luxon on the podcast, and he I think the term he used is ruthless time management. So whatever he's doing, he's all in at that time. But it doesn't mean he's a workaholic and he's working 20 hours a day or anything crazy like that. If he's at the movies with his wife Amanda, his phone's off and he's fully engaged in that.
Yeah.
It feels like that's sort of in a less clinical way what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a great approach. Try and be present in whatever you're doing. You do have to kind of wear different hats and just be conscious about what hat you're wearing at the time. And yeah, I think that ruthless time management approach is a good one. A lot of the times we do stuff that we don't need to do or shouldn't do, like maybe doing podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah, this is not a good ROI. You talked about the different hats you're wearing. Just a thought that came to mind. So, did you wore a spacesuit in the trip to space with Blue Origin?
It was more like a space tracksuit.
Okay. Do you get to keep it? Where is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it's back at home. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing with it? You gonna frame it or?
No, it's just sitting there in the wardrobe. Yeah.
Because I feel, it's only an item of clothing, but it's to me it signifies something bigger than that. Like it's a 25-year goal or dream that came to fruition. So there's something quite profound about that item of clothing.
Yeah, well, there's things that I got to take up on the flight. I got my watch here that I wore to space, so that's kind of with me all the time, which sort of helps remind me, connect me. So I think there's different things. I took my wedding ring and my wife's wedding ring up there, so that sort of connects us. So I think you just sort of choose what means something to you.
Oh, that's cool. Hey, so let's go back to the early years. What are your earliest memories?
Yeah, well, I was born in 1970. 31st December, just like Richie McCaw, but he's 10 years younger than me.
Played a few more test matches than you too. But has he been to space?
Growing up in Christchurch in the 70s, it was interesting times. In the 80s in Christchurch was a little bit dingy down there. It's got a whole different vibe down there now. Going to high school, I was sort of a middling kind of student. Didn't really achieve the potential that I had. It took me a while to kind of learn really what I wanted to do in life, what I wanted to do with my life. I sort of focused on travelling the world and seeing a bit of the world, and went over to Europe and with my guitar and did a bit of busking and worked in some pubs and that kind of stuff. And when I ended up coming back to Christchurch, I ended up getting a job in 1994 at one of the first internet companies. So that was really my first big break. And sometimes you reflect back at some of the breaks that you get in life, and you probably had the same thing, Dom, where you kind of look back and you just think, if I hadn't have had that meeting or hadn't have gone to that place on that day, then everything would have been different. And sometimes you just sort of look at those 3 or 4 things that have made such a massive difference to your life.
So you were more creative than sort of nerdy? You mentioned the musician aspect. Like, were you good at maths, or were you sort of like computer minded?
I did do a bit of basic computing kind of course there. I kind of like gaming was pretty cool. But yeah, I wasn't really gifted at maths. I was probably a little bit more erring on the creative side.
So then the internet comes along. I'm just trying to think. So you and I are about the same age. So I mean, the internet made no sense to me. But acronyms like SEO, like search engine optimization, which is relatively common now. Like, this is something you were using like in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean,
this is pre-Google, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, the internet industry was a whole different animal compared to what it is now. It was really run by a lot of university types that were there, and it was very much a kind of open source approach, and they were fighting really to try and maintain that and kind of keep the corporate commercial world out. And obviously they kind of lost that fight. Darth Vader and the Death Star came in and took over. But it was a whole different vibe. There was a lot of really smart people giving time away to create useful tools to share with the world.
You mentioned Darth Vader and the Death Star just then. Were you a Star Wars kid growing up?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I'm a Star Wars generation kid, and like that, Star Trek. But really, my number one favourite film was Alien. The gritty realism of that film, truckers in space. It just seemed a whole lot more real and tangible. So I thought that was certainly one of my early favourite films.
Was it movies where the curiosity began?
More science fiction books.
Okay.
Read a lot of sci-fi. I think that really sets you up for creativity, innovation, and critical thinking. I think it expands, your world quite a lot.
So, before the internet, what did you want to do? Did you have aspirations to be a musician?
Yeah. I thought it would be kind of cool to be a musician, but I just didn't quite have that natural talent. Certainly got a lot out of it, enjoyed it, and just having that kind of creative outlet, I think, is really important when you're a young person.
Do you still play?
On and off. I mean, not as much as I used to. Yeah.
What did you do? Were you covers or originals?
Yeah, bit of both. Yeah. One of my tick box things was I actually went into a recording studio with some session musicians and did some of my originals, and really happy with those, and they're in my personal library and enjoy playing them from time to time.
No desire to share them on?
No, not really.
No? Who's allowed to listen to them?
My wife, and sometimes my friends come around for parties, and I might put it on. They go, "Is that you?" Yeah. So that's quite cool.
But what sort of genre?
Kind of that kind of rock, kind of, sort of sci-fi rock, maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So the internet comes along. And you co-founded 2 internet companies in 1998. Yeah. What were they?
Yeah. So Avatar. Avatar Web Promotions, as it was called back then. Avatar was basically a web promotions company, and really the focus was search engine optimization and basically getting traffic to people's websites. Back then it was pretty early days. When I started in that sort of area, 97. At that stage, most people were just thinking about getting a domain name and thinking about putting up a basic web page. But what I kind of realised is that's just the start. What you actually need to do is get your target market to your web page, and that's really where you start getting the phone ringing and getting your emails. Avatar, and then obviously you had the Avatar movies that came out subsequently. So we got a lot of extra side traffic from that. But New Zealand Tourism Online was another company I set up with 2 other people, and that was sort of pretty hard going early on, and we ended up building that to being a very successful tourism directory in New Zealand. We won 5 New Zealand Tourism Awards. We're in the Fast 50 moving companies 3 years in a row, and then we got a magic call from a fellow at Telecom Yellow Pages, and he said, well, we want to buy your business, and that put a bit of gas in my tank, and from there moved into the space arena.
Yeah, so that was 2006 that you sold it. So you started New Zealand Tourism Online in
98. Yeah.
Okay, and then 8 years later sold it to Telecom Yellow Pages. Can you disclose how much or no?
9 million.
Right. So you get how many in the business?
There were two of us, only 2 of us at that stage. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you get 4.5 million.
Something like that.
So how old are you at the time? What are you, like 30-ish?
Yeah. Well, I guess if we do the maths, about 35.
Mm. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that was one of those lucky breaks where we just appeared on the radar at the right time. Yellow Pages was being sold by Telecom. They were looking to buy a few properties to kind of add a bit of X factor into the Yellow Pages brand, and we were just on the radar at the right time.
You say it's a lucky break, but you also said like a few sentences ago, like just how hard you guys worked over many years to build this thing up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. You really do the tough yards sometimes. I remember there was one month where we were realising we weren't making money. We were going backwards. We had a $30,000 tax debt to the IRD. We were in the negative, and we thought, okay, let's just give this another month and just see if we can turn it around. And yeah, we hired a new person, managed to get things going, and from there. Everything changed, and I think a lot of it is about the timing, and if you just get the right timing on your business, your product, then everything can change. And you can miss it by just a few weeks.
Was that life changing?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I'd sort of gradually, had success with my businesses, but yeah, I mean that was definitely a point where I had more money in the bank than I ever had before.
And what do you do immediately? Do you buy anything cool?
I bought a ticket to space with Virgin Galactic. So, I remembered what I wrote down 5 years before, and thought, okay, I've got to do that, and gave some money to Greenpeace and a few bits and pieces. And,
awesome.
Yeah.
And why do you keep going at that point and do something else? I'm just interested to get into your mindset, because it seems like serial entrepreneurs have a different mindset to a lot of other people.
Yeah.
A lot of other people would probably just, like, I suppose, buy a house, put some money in the bank or invest it and, put their feet up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of mentality. I mean, certainly I had a few holidays and sort of took a bit of time to reflect. But what I realised is most people, they get bored. If there's stuff that you want to achieve in life, and you want to keep pushing it, then you got to find what really gives you that drive. Look for that fire in your belly, and I still had some of that left and wanted to contribute in various areas.
Yeah, you need a reason. This is something I'm discovering as I get older and older. You need a reason to get out of bed in the morning, eh? You do need a purpose.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Fine. You got to find what it is, and sometimes. You might not have that kind of drive. After RocketLab 2011, I took a bit of time out for my family, had young kids. I really just wanted to focus on being with them when they were younger and taking it a bit easier. And I sort of had a few years here where I was thinking, okay, what is my next thing? Do I just want to get the batch in the boat and take it easy? And I seriously thought about that, but then I thought, no, there's other stuff that I want to do. And if you can really identify what it is, and sometimes it can take years of mulling it over, contemplating, but before you find it. And I was actually thinking about getting into virtual reality, and I went to the Silicon Valley Virtual Reality Conference up near San Francisco, and I thought that could be something I got onto, but it didn't quite gel. And a year later, I decided I really wanted to get back into the aerospace industry.
Yeah, because I think for a lot of people, the fantasy would be like to build a business up sell it, and then go to Denarau or Honolulu and sit on a hammock drinking cocktails for the rest of your life. But the reality is 6 weeks of that and you'd probably be depressed.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so I think, book in a 6-week holiday and then come back and get on with it.
Yeah. I'd imagine you on a holiday, that's probably your thinking time where your brain's whirring over, coming up with new ideas of what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I think, flying in planes when you're actually above the world and, it can, and you're away from the computer and can just being able to exit from your normal life in some way, I think is a really powerful thing. And certainly, if I am lying around by the pool or whatever, I'm often thinking about all sorts of other crazy stuff, and it can incubate a whole lot of ideas and think, oh, I really want to do that.
So what year did you change your name again to Rocket?
2000.
2000. Okay, so that was 6 years before selling out to Telecom Yellow Pages. And then there's an interesting... how did you become sort of media famous? I remember you doing some interviews and bits and pieces.
Yeah, I don't think I'm quite famous. I mean, I think I've done a few little media things, but
was it just like a media curiosity thing after you changed your name to Rocket, or?
No, it was around Virgin Galactic.
Okay.
Essentially, when I got the ticket and signed up with them, I realised that a lot of other people internationally were getting quite a bit of media. I decided just to organise things, and I just did a media release so that I could control a little bit the timing. And but I think I sort of got on the radar a little bit there.
And is that where the worlds of yourself and Peter Beck collided? He heard you on a radio. He told me on our podcast that he heard you do a thing on the radio. He reached out to you. He got hold of you somehow.
Exactly, yeah. I think he sort of tried a whole lot of potential investors, and he thought, hey, the space guy might be into what I'm into. So he gave me a call, and so that worked out pretty well. Now, I think at the time I'd just come back from the International Space Development Conference, and I saw Elon Musk speaking and met Buzz Aldrin, and it was so inspiring. And I thought, all the actions happening in the top half of the planet, maybe the southern hemisphere could get involved with this emerging new space industry as well. And I think I mentioned that on the radio, saying I'd really like to see a space industry emerge in New Zealand. And next minute, Peter gave me a call. So
how does that phone call go?
Yeah, I actually had a few phone calls from a few different people that were at various stages, and I just asked him to send through his plan, and I realised he had something interesting going on, and we met, and I could just see he was a really driven fellow, and knew what he was talking about. Did a bit of research, and thought, okay, let's give it a go.
Oh, so other people reaching out as well, like wanting money for whatever venture they were doing. Was it all space themed, or just people wanting money to? Yeah,
sort of space themed.
Okay. Yeah. So what was RocketLab then? RocketLab is now like a, I don't know, $10-15 billion company, but what was it then?
Yeah, we started off as a pretty basic company, low valuation, but the reality is nothing had been achieved at that point, and we had a PowerPoint presentation, a rough plan, and that plan completely changed, obviously, as we got into it. But sometimes you just got to believe that your business partner and you can work well together, and you can make it happen.
Why did you guys work so well?
Yeah, well, I think
just different skill sets.
Yeah. I think obviously technically he's a magician. He just makes it happen. And I'd had some success with the internet industry and sort of brought that initial sort of governance and marketing aspect along on those early years. And what's really amazing about Peter is he just levels up. He's had a phenomenal personal growth, and it's just amazing to see how well he's doing and how far he's come.
So you bought half of RocketLab.
Yep.
So this was in 2007.
Yep.
Can you remember how much?
Roughly.
What was it, like 200?
A bit more.
250?
Well, a bit more.
Oh, 300. 300,000.
Something like that.
Yeah. Which is crazy now with the benefit of hindsight to see what that company has grown into, right? It's massive. Yes, and you're co-director. So what do you like? I mean, on the big scheme of things, that's not a lot of money. So what do you do with that? Like, how do you use 300,000 or whatever the money is to, build a rocket? Like, where does it go?
Yeah, well, I think with high risk ventures like that, it's good to have a specific target in mind. And essentially, what we were doing with that money is to try and get a rocket to space. And we believed we could give it a go, and in the end we needed a bit more money than that, so I put some more money in, but I could see that we were making good technical progress. And we did the first space launch around November 2009, so in a few years Peter and the team did a great job getting things ready, a whole new rocket motor, hybrid fuel, new airframe. It was sometimes you put a little bit of money in to aim for a specific goal, and then from there, obviously, you can work at it if the company's got legs.
At the time, did you have people in your ear, like accountants, business mentors or anything, saying, "Mark, what the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, you definitely get a bit of that.
I mean, it's easy to look back in hindsight and go, that was a smart move and it was a very good decision. But at the time, I'd imagine that was a lot of people would have thought you were bonkers.
Yeah, probably. Well, I think a lot of it comes down to the gut feel that you have, and if you've sort of ticked the boxes that you need to tick for due diligence, and you just want to give it a go.
Well, in 2007, what was it that you saw in Peter Beck and RocketLab that others didn't?
Yeah, well, he had a pretty good career at IRL, Industrial Research, and the references of people that he worked with were pretty compelling, and I think also just someone that spends their whole life in their shed building rockets and playing around with motors. I mean, obviously they're really into it, right? He wasn't just someone that had gone to university and done the kind of minimum engineering course and then said, "Hey, I've got this idea." He'd lived and breathed it, and that passion, you can pick that up in people. And lucky enough, we ended up working together.
Oh, he's an absolute gem of a New Zealander. He told me some stories on the podcast, like when I think he was working at Fisher and Paykel at the time and spending all his spare time just making stuff at home. And some of his workmates from Fisher and Paykel would drop meals around to him because they were worried that he just wasn't eating.
Yeah.
So he just had this one-track mind,
Yeah.
just building stuff and would forget to eat.
Yeah, I think passion goes a long way if someone is really into it and really driven about it, and you see that for winning companies, winning teams. You've got to have that drive and rationale.
Yeah, I've got a quote from him from our podcast. If it wasn't for Mark, none of this would have happened, because he was the first person to put some money in, and all credit to Mark ultimately. I bought Mark back out, and that was critical because you can't turn up to Silicon Valley with half your company sold. Yeah. You guys still close now? Close-ish?
Yeah, well, we keep in touch from time to time.
Yeah.
But he's in his world now, and I'm pretty busy with my company Kea Aerospace these days. So I think we're both pretty busy doing our own thing.
Yeah. But there was no bad blood or anything there.
No. I think I'm just so impressed with how he's taken the company on and upwards, and I'm pleased to be a shareholder still to this day. And the company valuation's looking pretty good.
It is. Yeah. So you sold. So you had half the company. You sold in 2011. Did you want to sell? What was the decision process in that?
Yeah, we sort of won a contract that it didn't really fire up with me, and again, I wanted to step out and spend some time with my family, so it was a good time for to exit. But then things got shuffled around a few years later, and I got given shares in the new RocketLab USA company, and had them ever since. So yeah, pretty pleased the way it's all worked out.
Yeah, those. I mean, your shareholding is probably significantly larger than mine, but it's gone up like 500% or something in the past year. It's just been crazy. You probably don't update your shares account as often as what I do to see what the price is doing.
No, not really.
But do you know what your holding is in the company? Is it like 1%, 2%?
I don't know if I want to go there, but
okay.
I'm pretty happy with the way things have worked out.
Yeah.
I looked after Peter looked after me, and life goes on.
Yeah, he's got a DeLorean.
Oh, cool.
like he's a big fan of Back to the Future, so he's got a DeLorean. It's got a cassette deck in with the Back to the Future soundtrack.
Nice. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, apart from the Blue Origin flight, yeah, have you bought anything cool like that?
I got a Gretsch guitar.
What's that?
It's kind of like a rockabilly guitar, like Stray Cats. So yeah, that was a real dream when I was younger, and yeah, just a few bits and pieces. I've got a Tesla, which I think is cool. I mean, obviously Elon's a little bit controversial these days, but yeah, I think Tesla's done a pretty great job, and SpaceX have done some pretty great things for the aerospace industry. But yeah,
You're quite a simple guy, eh? Quite a basic, humble guy.
yeah. Well, I don't know, maybe.
That's what a humble guy would say. So tell us about Kea Aerospace. So this was founded in 2018. Why do you keep doing new ventures, and you don't really need to, eh? Is it just what we were talking about before?
Yeah,
Just that purpose.
Yeah, I really wanted to. I guess it goes back down to a mission wasn't quite fulfilled when we started RocketLab, because initially we were going to set up down in Christchurch, and I really think the South Island is a great place to do a lot of this aerospace development. So that didn't quite happen. So there was kind of an itch there that I thought, I'd really like to get something more happening down in the South Island. So I started to hang out at the University of Canterbury, made some new connections there. And yeah, ultimately our CTO, Dr. Philip Saltrop, was just finishing up his PhD, and we were sort of chucking around different ideas, initially thinking about maybe payloads for rockets, but stumbled across this idea for Kea Aerospace, which essentially is a solar-powered aircraft that flies in the stratosphere and can fly for weeks or months continuously. And I just fell in love with that concept, an aircraft that can fly for months continuously using solar power, the power of the sun. I just thought that was such a cool project to get part of. And the reason you fly above the stratosphere, or in the stratosphere, above the weather, above the other air traffic, is basically you can just keep flying there above the clouds, where you don't have any of those kind of issues at low altitude. So yeah, it really opens up a whole bunch of new applications around remote sensing, Earth observation, for environmental monitoring, humanitarian disaster response, through to maritime domain awareness. There's a whole lot of different applications that this kind of loitering capability can be used for.
I'm going to ask a lot of dumb questions here from myself and maybe some people that are listening. So these Kea aircraft, like what sort of size are they? What sort of height are they hovering around?
Yeah, so we built 2 Kea Atmos Mark 1 aircraft so far. We did our first stratospheric flight in February this year, and that got up to 56,000 feet. So yeah, that was a real milestone. And then this summer we're aiming to do a few more stratospheric flights over 60,000 feet. So if you're flying to the US, you're probably flying, say, 38,000, 40,000 feet. So yeah, we're another kind of third or so above the jet streams.
How big are they?
About 12.5 metre wingspan.
Okay, that's huge.
And so yeah, we're just moving into phase 2, where we've started designing the Mark 2 aircraft, and that'll be about a 30 metre wingspan aircraft. And yeah, the Mark 1 is a dawn to dusk type scenario, just to enable us to get up to the stratosphere. The Mark 2 will enable us to stay up there for weeks or months continuously. So that's going to be a major achievement if we can get that done.
What sort of weight can they carry?
Yeah, the whole thing with this is it's about minimising the mass, minimising the weight, and minimising the energy consumption. So yeah, the Mark 1, it's under 40 kgs, even though it's 12.5 metre wingspan, which is a pretty big aircraft.
Wow.
Wingspan. It weighs under 40 kgs, so it's using composite materials, and everything's kind of optimised to make it as light as possible. The Mark 2 aircraft, which will have, and most of that weight is actually the batteries. So the Mark 2 aircraft will be about 150, 200 kgs and 30 metre wingspan. So yeah, a much larger wingspan, but yeah, still we're just really got to keep it as light as possible. And then the power requirements. With the Mark 1, we got to the stratosphere on the power of a hairdryer. So yeah, and then, again, it needs to be really efficient, really optimised.
And do they move around up there, or are they sort of stationary?
Yeah, so essentially just flies with sort of circle like a normal aircraft. But, one of the key things with it is we want to pick weather days which are really calm. And, as you sort of go up, there's different elements in the atmosphere, different conditions. And so, it might be pretty calm at sea level, but as you go up to the jet streams, it could be 200 kilometres an hour. And it looks like it's blue skies and clear, nothing going on, but you get a bit of a stratification of what's going on with the weather layers. So there could be a bunch of different weather layers that you need to punch through. And these aircraft are light. They're not like a Spitfire designed for aerodynamic kind of behaviours. So you just need to try and pick a good weather day to go up.
Mm. I find this so inspiring. I love that about this podcast, like getting to speak to New Zealanders like you who are just out there getting it and doing really cool stuff, getting really cool stuff done. So does someone come to you with this idea of Kea Aerospace and say, Mark, you've got the money, I've got this idea, let's go into business together? Or do you have the idea? How's this sort of born?
Yeah, I think you've got to look at what's worked with you before. For me, I was sort of filtering different ideas about what I could do, and the litmus test for me is I've got to have a fire in my belly about really wanting to do it. The reality is you're going to put a lot of time into that project, so you want to do something that you're absolutely in love with. I kind of set up the conditions where I was sort of open to looking for projects that fired up my imagination, and there's a bit of a process. It took me years, as I said, to kind of finally land on this next iteration of what I'm doing.
One thing I read online is to do with Kea Aerospace was you looking for investors, and I wanted to ask about this from I suppose a perspective of curiosity. If you've got the money yourself, why wouldn't you just put your own money in rather than try and get money from other people?
Yeah. So, for the Mark 1 program, I mean, I'd funded things in the kind of early round, the founders round, but we really wanted to bring in some international partners that would open up doors internationally. For the funding work on the Mark 1, we talked to, let's say, about 100 different potential investors. We had a few people lined up that were interested to invest, but we ended up just going with one investor based in Austria. He's a multi-billionaire, and he comes from a plant and manufacturing background there. So when we move into our manufacturing phase, he'll bring in and add a lot of value to that. And now we're about to do a funding round for the Mark II to fund the larger version. And again, we're looking for strategic partners because hopefully the last funding round will be the next one, the Series A. And that next one will basically be building 100 plus of those aircraft. And, that's going to take a few bucks to kind of set up the facility for that. But, right now we're on the Mark II funding round and, looking for strategic partners to help us get through to the Series A.
Are there lessons that you've learned from previous startup phases, like with RocketLab and with the internet stuff that you've taken into this venture? Or are they all just completely different? Yeah,
sure. I mean, you just sort of accumulate a vast amount of experience over the years if you're around long enough, and you learn what not to do. Obviously you learn a lot from your mistakes, but hopefully you don't make too many big mistakes, and also you learn from what you did right. And I think obviously you've got to be aware that you can sort of come from the sort of lens of your experience, but you've got to be open to new ideas and new ways of doing things as well. So it's about kind of walking that tightrope of doing what you think is going to work and what has worked in your experience, but at the same time taking into account those new ideas that need to come in as well.
When there's a bad day at the office now, do you get stressed, or have you just been through everything imaginable in business and you've got the wisdom and the experience to know that nothing's that drastic?
Yeah, well, again, that's where the balance comes in. You have a bad day at work, you go for a run or go to the gym or go to a movie. Or with your partner or whatever. So, I think having that balance really plays a lot of advantages for you. So, but sometimes you're going to have great days, and some days you're going to have some challenges. But you just got to keep putting it into context.
Does everything you touch turn to gold?
Well, I wouldn't say that, but
it seems like that. Like, and it must speak volumes about the way that you work. Like you commit to something and then you just figure out a solution. Or
yeah,
there's been a lot of success.
well, I think my secret is just stamina. I just keep on going, and you do have to be aware of when you do need to pull out. Sometimes people go too far, but yeah, I think as Richard Branson has said, you've got to protect your downside. So you're going to think, okay, this is the goal I'm going for. I'm putting that money aside to do it, and if you get past that red line, don't go any deeper than that. So you just got to work out, where your comfort level is on the energy you're putting in, on the money that you're putting in, and go from there. But yeah, I think incrementally you can achieve so much, and I think if you can just improve things by 1% each week, that just makes such a difference over a year, over 2 years, over 5 years.
Where does that come from? That insatiable appetite for personal growth.
Yeah, maybe I didn't feel good enough when I was a young kid. I think everyone has stuff that they kind of work through, and but yeah, again, science fiction has that sort of creativity. It kind of opens different doors that you wouldn't normally think about. I think we all have our kind of baggage of growing up and the things that we have. So yeah, I think if you can try to channel that into some sort of positive, creative way. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty good where I am now, and I feel like I have made a huge improvement, a huge step up, and just trying to live the best life that you can lead. Be the best version of you that you can be.
Was there anything in your early years to suggest that you'd have the entrepreneurial gene? Did your parents just have normal jobs, or did they own businesses, or?
Yeah, my dad was a welder, and my mother was a stay-at-home mum, and pretty average kind of Kiwi background. And I started working at a vegetable market garden company when I was about 12, 13, and that sort of taught me the value of hard work. And we had a pretty tough boss, and he taught me some pretty important lessons there. And it was again that was a great opportunity for me to learn a lot. Drove tractors and did lots of cool stuff there, but learned the value of hard work as well.
Cause you and all your classmates, your entire school roll at primary school, intermediate, or secondary school, like in a lineup, no one would have picked you to be the guy, right? The guy that went to space, the guy that set up this multi-million-dollar internet company, the guy that co-founded RocketLab. Like you've done some impressive stuff. There was nothing to suggest that you'd be that guy.
Yeah, I guess I'm probably like the Forrest Gump of the aerospace industry in New Zealand. I just sort of turned up in the right places.
Oh, no, you're being very humble. You've mentioned running a couple of times. Yeah, what role does running play in your life?
Yeah, I find that just gives me an amazing outlet where I can kind of meditate, and you get into that rhythm. I mean, you've obviously got that sensation as well where you just feel like you're cruising along, and sometimes you feel like you're flying, and it's just effortless, when you can build up to that marathon fitness when everything's just so easy. I mean, obviously there are other times when it's brutal and, every step is quite painful. But there's also a lot of those Ks where, if you're in that rhythm, it all feels so effortless. And so I guess I'm always sort of chasing after that feeling, it is, being marathon fit. I mean, I know a lot of people do ultras, head off to them, people that do ultra marathons. I mean, that's not my thing. I'm quite happy to have the marathon as my kind of apex goal each year. But yeah, there's just something about it I just love. And I've been really getting into strength training and gym work lately, and I think that's a lot of fun as well. And I think it actually helps a lot in the running. I don't know if you do a lot of gym work, but there's a few years I sort of went off the boil on that, and now I've come back onto it, and it has helped me a lot.
Oh, Mark, I'm exactly the same. During the pandemic, when the gym was shut, I realised, well, actually, this is perfect because I don't like doing the strength and conditioning, and I like running, so I can keep running and drop the stuff I don't like. And then that's when my knee issue started. The strength and conditioning training, it gives you your stability around the joints and the tendons and muscles to keep you running. Yeah, you're so right. Sometimes, to use an analogy that you would understand, sometimes when you're running, it feels like you're in a rocket. Then other times, it just feels like you're trying to run in a spacesuit, I guess.
Yeah, that's right.
It's hard. There's a term nowadays called raw dogging, which basically means doing it without music or without headphones. Do you listen to anything when you run, or are you in your own thoughts?
I listen to your podcast, Dom.
Do you?
Yeah, and I love podcasts, ebooks. I love sort of history books and biographies, autobiographies, adventure kind of things like that. So yeah, and a bit of music at the end to kind of get you going a little bit at the end to help you get over the finish line. Actually, I was doing the Auckland Marathon here once, and there's a real brutal moment. We'd sort of gone over the bridge and we got to the very end, and then we were just heading back. And I think it's around the 30k mark. I think is it around about there. And this guy had been running next to me for about 5-10 k's. He was just sort of running behind me, and he was about in his 20s, and I think I must have been in my 40s. And he kind of said, how's it going? I said, I'm pretty good. And I said, how many marathons you done? And he said, none. I've never run more than 10k. And he just sort of took off at the 30k mark and kept on going. I don't know if he was playing mind games on me, but that was like, oh my God, I'm hurting so bad here. And here's this guy just took off.
Yeah, well, there's a saying in marathon runnings that it doesn't start until the 30k mark.
Exactly.
And you look around, and even people that are looking good at that point, that everyone's in their own sort of hurt. Even people that don't show it. How many full marathons have you done?
Not sure, but I've done.
Oh, like heaps.
Well, Auckland, Wellington, Dunedin, Queenstown, a few Christchurches. Not quite sure how many, but probably less than 10.
Awesome. What's the biggest adversity you've gone through? We'll end with some deep ones.
Okay.
Well, just getting to the age of 50's a privilege that I'm sure you've got some friends that have dropped off along the way, and I know I have as well. So one thing I've realised is that you don't get to the privilege of being in your 50's without going through some sort of adversity.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's times where I probably put a bit too much effort into my business and not enough onto the personal relationships, and not having the patience that I needed in those personal relationships, and I think that sort of taught me a lot. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I try and focus on the positives, because if you just keep thinking about all the stuff that has gone wrong, it kind of leaves you in a kind of negative headspace. So I think it's healthier for me to just try and focus on where I'm going, how to keep improving, and focus on those positives. But yeah, there have been times when maybe I've sort of gotten into a bit of a loop about some of those frustrations or things that I perceived haven't actually gone well. But then 5-10 years later, you look back at it and go, actually, that really helped you do X, Y, Z. So yeah, I've kind of learnt to try not to focus on the negatives too much, try and learn from them, but not to dwell on them.
Yeah, I love that. That's really good advice. Are you on your first marriage?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not like you're, it's not like you've got a trail of failed marriages behind you or anything like that. It's hard because there's 24 hours in the day, regardless of who you are, and it's like where you choose to spend that time. And it is hard if you're trying to build something, I guess, to keep all those plates spinning at once.
Exactly.
What would you say your best and worst habits are?
Best habits. Well, I think I just have a kind of weekly ritual which works pretty well for me. And I spent quite a bit of time trying to get it working, from getting up in the morning to the end of the day, just making sure I squeeze all the different things in there that I need to. Worst habit, it can be tricky sometimes. There are so many kind of temptations, and you want to go and have a bit of a party night or whatever. I think trying to stick to the ritual, which is going to be healthier for you long term. But it's easy when you've got a networking kind of event and people say, "Oh, come out for a drink." And in the past I probably would have said yes too many times. These days I've done pretty well suppressing a lot of that. Then again, you go out and have some of those big nights, and you get great experiences and make really great connections. So it's kind of a tricky one, but yeah.
What's your relationship like with alcohol? Are you much of a drinker?
Well, I'll try and limit it to a couple of glasses a night on a Tuesday and a Friday. But yeah,
they are very random nights of the week. Why Tuesday? Why Tuesday and Friday? Most people sort of go, weeknights and then weekend.
Yeah.
Tuesday and Friday. What is that deliberate? So you got a separation between them?
It just sort of breaks things up, and I find particularly when you're in that sort of marathon zone, it really interrupts your training the next days. And again, if I don't designate a day, then it can easily slip over, and it's like you're doing Wednesday and Thursday, and I just find Friday, end of the week, is pretty good. And sort of Tuesday, tend to, just have a bit of watch a series on Netflix or whatever it is. And it can be just quite a relaxing way to start the week as well.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, as I've got older, there's things I want to do, and alcohol just, it's hard. It's hard to continue my drinking habit and get the things done that I want to get done.
It is.
Alcohol has had to take a spot on the back burner a little bit for me.
Yeah, well, I think ideally I sort of stick to the Tuesday and Friday. I mean, sometimes it sloshes over to other days, but that's kind of my ideal week. And if you kind of go into the week knowing that that's what your goal is, if you don't have a goal in those areas, which can start flowing over into other areas, then if you don't have that goal, then sometimes you're doing more than what you want to do.
Is there a what if that keeps you up at night? No,
I sleep pretty well.
Yeah. Is there a mistake you wish you could go back and correct?
I think there's a dozen things I look back on that I'd want to second guess, but it's kind of whatever those decisions were, whatever happened, kind of led you to where you are now. So I think it's kind of hard. It's like that sort of those timeline kind of movies where you go back, and if you do alter something, then it can have profound consequences. So
I know what you mean. Yeah, Butterfly Effect is one of those movies, and Sliding Doors.
Yeah,
it's another one.
Yeah,
everything sort of unravels or unfolds in life the way it's supposed to. It sort of happens for a reason, even though it doesn't always seem like that at the time. Yeah.
So I'm touch wood, things are going pretty well where they're at, and you just got to take each day as it comes, because anything can happen tomorrow. So you just got to put your best foot forward and try and deal with it as best you can, and whoever you are on that day, whatever skills, habits you've developed, you just got to hope you make the right decision.
What are you most afraid of?
Again, I don't really think about that too much, but I mean, obviously, there's things I'm concerned about, like climate change and the world political realm. There's a lot of stuff going on, which is like, I feel so sorry for my kids. What are we leaving them? I think as a society here in New Zealand, there's a lot more that we can do. As a citizen of the world, there's a lot more that we can do, and that's one of the reasons with Kea Aerospace, where we're focused on providing solutions. They're going to help humanity with environmental monitoring, disaster response. That really motivates me. But at the same time, we are sort of moving into an age where the power dynamic has come into play a lot more with country interactions, and I think that's going to keep increasing the way that we're seeing things pan out. So, hopefully, these countries, these leaders can get together and stop the direction that it's going in. But if not, I think we're going to be in for a bumpy decade ahead of us.
It's an interesting time, isn't it?
It is.
What are your future goals?
Yeah, well, at Kea Aerospace, the goal there is to build a fleet of these aircraft and have these aircraft flying all around the Pacific, all around the world. I think that'll be just a super cool concept, and to have that based in New Zealand and Australia. So, as a company, I think that's got some really exciting potential, and I'm just going to really enjoy the journey of being part of that. And but beyond that, do a few more trips and see a bit of the world, and
trips as in to other countries or to galaxies, or
yeah, well,
you It's
yeah,
like you're not one and done, eh? Like you desperately want to get back up there. I can tell. You've
Yeah.
got this look in your eye.
yeah. I mean, I'd love to get to orbit one day, but that's a long shot, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've got a few little things that are on the back burner, and I'll just sort of try and line things up, and we'll see what happens.
Well, there's still plenty of time as long as you're fit and healthy, eh? Still
Exactly.
plenty of time.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I'm really surprised about. A lot of people in their 50s, Dom, you probably see a lot of your friends, and they've kind of, yeah, they're in that kind of party mode, and that's great. But yeah, you've really got to look after your health, and like we didn't want to go to the gym, but we realised, hey, it's better outcomes if we do, and trying to eat right. You do get a lot of these sort of temptations in modern society where it's probably pulling you in the wrong direction. So I think, yeah, really just trying to have a healthy vehicle to take you around is pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I got friends that are similar age to us, and they're sort of like tapering off, like winding down.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, it's like a sports game. I'm just in the second half, baby. I'm
Yeah.
just getting started. Like, there's
Yeah.
still shit to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of really cool technology that's been developed as well. I remember when I went to an optometrist when I was a kid, and I think I must have been about 10 years old or something like that. And the doctor, she was, I don't know if she approached it the right way, but she basically said, "Look, Mark, you're going to be wearing glasses for the rest of your life." And I don't know why I cried, and I thought, man, that sucks, and it really affected me. But then, 5 years ago, I got laser eye surgery, and now I've got fantastic vision. And I just think we are lucky that we live in this age of technology where there's all this really cool stuff that's coming down the pipe. And the next 10, 20 years, stuff that used to be an issue, there are going to be solutions there.
Well, you can even see in the health sector, like outcomes with cancer diagnosis. It's no longer the death sentence it was potentially when we were younger. Now the outcomes are often quite good for people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about is you're president as well of Aerospace New Zealand. What does that role mean?
Yeah, well, 2018 was also the time that we started Kea Aerospace, but also I started working with a group of people in Canterbury about developing an aerospace industry body, and that kind of developed into a national aerospace body which is focused on advanced aviation and space. So essentially we all kind of work together, helping to support each other, helping to talk to the government with one voice, saying, hey, this is what we need as an aerospace ecosystem. And we have a regular meetups. So I've got one in Auckland tonight, and also we've got our Aerospace Summit coming up on October 7th and October 8th in Christchurch. And so, essentially we get most of the aerospace participants in New Zealand together, connecting with each other. We've got delegations coming from numerous countries around the world. We've got government agencies, academics. So we basically get everyone together, exchanging ideas, talking about new projects, helping to create new projects. It's a really exciting industry. We've got some really cool speakers. Got someone coming from Blue Origin, talking about what they're doing, what their plans are, and a whole lot about the super cool companies. And I think it really inspires people in the industry to see what's possible and helps them kind of go up to the next level as well.
What's it like being in that room or that environment and just knowing in the back of your mind that you're the only person that's been to space?
Well, I think there are actually astronauts that have been there, and some that wouldn't necessarily be the case. But I mean, I kind of like to think that actually I know that a lot of these people will be going to space in the next 10 years. That's what really excites me. I think more people need to kind of see the context of where the world is and the solar system, and I think that'll help humanity move in the right direction.
Yeah, I love something you said earlier in the podcast where you talked about people not thinking big enough. Yeah, I really love that. That's going to stick with me.
Yeah.
What are 3 words that your family and friends would use to describe you?
Oh, Jesus, I don't know.
You're hating this, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Can I text you back on that one?
Yeah. No. Okay. Or 3 words that you'd like people to use to describe you, like you're obviously like driven and super focused. Yeah, just from sitting with you for the last hour, 20 minutes, I could probably come up with some, but you could probably come up with some better ones, I reckon.
Yeah, well, it depends on the context. When I play tennis, I have good days and bad days, and sometimes I get a bit grumpy at myself for not getting my shots. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Everyone wears different hats, so I don't know. It probably depends on what friends you're talking to.
Yeah. Are you proud of yourself?
Yeah, I'm proud to where I've got to, and there's a lot more that I want to achieve as well. But yeah, again, I come from pretty humble beginnings, and there was all sorts of other scenarios. Actually, probably my first kind of run-in with the aviation industry was when I had a night out with my friend, and basically I think we'd just seen the Karate Kid movie or something, and I ended up doing a spin kick and broke a big window at Continental Airlines. And so this big glass window broke, and I remember seeing the Continental Airlines plane, like got the model airplane there, and it broke, and I thought, oh man. So we ran away, but ended up people saw us running away, and we were on the last bus home back out to the beach where I was living, and the cops came on the bus, took me off the bus, and spent the night in the cells there. And yeah, that was kind of a real turning point for me, where I realised I could have gone into a whole different direction in my life if I had kept doing that stupid stuff that I was doing. And again, that sort of sliding doors type scenario. You have choices every day, and you can either continue down that road. And I was there with my hands behind the bars when I was about 16, 17 or whatever, and thinking, shit, this could be me, and this is not fun. So yeah, sometimes you get those sort of wake up calls, which just really push you in the right direction.
16, 17, that feels a bit old to be doing Ralph Macchio karate kicks. Who picked you up? Did you have to call your parents to?
Yeah, and I think they were out at a party that night, and so the cops didn't think I gave them the right number. And yeah, the next morning when they came in, yeah, it was a bit awkward.
Yeah, were you in big trouble, or was it one of those situations where you're at that age where they're like, Mark, we're not mad, we're just disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, I think they handled it pretty well in the end. But yeah, no, it really sort of scared me straight.
one night in jail will do that.
Yeah.
I reckon 10 minutes incarceration would be enough for me to be scared straight. Oh, what a story to end with. Thanks for sharing that. That was great. Hey, this has been really enjoyable today. Yeah, you've been on my radar for a long time, and I'm pleased we finally connected. I get the sense you're not a man that's overly comfortable like talking about yourself and your various achievements. So I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking me, and yeah, I think one of the key reasons is I really want to share with people that we've got this amazing aerospace industry that's emerging in New Zealand, and I really hope New Zealand gets behind it and supports the great work that we can be doing. And yeah, I mean, you look back, all of our forefathers have come from a long way away to be here in New Zealand, and I think it's in our DNA to kind of explore, and I think a lot of Kiwis are going to be exploring the solar system. So I think the next 100 years are going to be pretty exciting.
Mark Rocket, thank you for coming on my podcast.
Thank you.